to plan for the election of our 2025-2026 district leaders. We now begin to identify those emerging leaders in Founders District. I'm Kathy Hughes, immediate past district director and district leadership chair. As our future district leadership opportunities calling to you? If not, you might be swayed by the presentations you'll hear today to educate and inspire you with the possibilities that are here waiting for you. Leadership in Toastmasters starts us at the club level, as we've all seen in our clubs, but there's so much more that you can continue to learn. Practicing those learned skills enriches you as an aspiring leader outside of your club and Toastmasters. To set the tone for our Founders District Leadership Summit, let's be reminded of the district mission and core values. Our district mission is we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Our Toastmasters core values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Our mission and core values guide us through all we do as district leaders. Now, we've got a busy agenda planned for you, so are you ready to get started? Great. I've been so thrilled to be able to introduce our keynote speaker this morning, Richard E. Peck, Distinguished Toastmaster and past international president. Richard joined Toastmasters in 2006 at the recommendation of motivational speaker Les Brown. He joined solely to improve his communication skills. He had no view of the leadership. Within a year, he was serving in district leadership. He has since served as the 2020-2021 International President of Toastmasters International. In 2022, he was asked to serve as the acting international president. This is something that had never occurred previously in the history of Toastmasters. He now holds the distinction of being the longest serving member of the board of directors. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from Fairfield University in Connecticut and an MBA in International Business from the University of Texas at Dallas. His leadership mantra is, being a leader is not about being the center of attention. Being a leader is about being the epicenter of action. Richard is a sought-after leader, coach, mentor, and co-author of the book, Poking the Cadaver, A Forensic Approach to Public Speaking. Please help me give a warm Founders District welcome to Richard Peck with his keynote speech titled, A Leader's Journey.
Well, thank you, Kathy, and thank you all in Founders District for joining us today. I remember the first time I was asked, do you want to be a leader? And it was a response like this. Who, me? A leader? In Toastmasters. I just joined to learn to speak to people. Well, I wanted to learn to communicate with people because I could speak. I just couldn't communicate. As you heard, I've got a background in electrical engineering. Engineers in the room, we know how to talk to other engineers. Everyone else, maybe, maybe not, because we tend to speak in the language that we know. And unfortunately, speaking in the language that we know causes two issues. One is it causes failure to communicate, but it limits our leadership potential. Because if we can't speak outside that grouping, how can we become a true leader for others? So I want to give you a little bit of a story on my journey in Toastmasters, what got me to where I am, and some of the things that I've learned along the way that hopefully, as you step into leadership roles, you'll find value. Area directors in the room. Here's how I became an area director. I'm at my home one night and the phone rings, and it's my district director, Will Ryan. And the conversation went, "Hi, Richard, this is Will." Hi, Will. Uh, I got a question for you. Okay. We need an area director. Someone has had to step down from position. Would you be interested in that? Two concerns immediately hit me. One, how did Will Ryan know who Richard Peck was? Because I hadn't been outside the club. And two, what was his area director role? I hadn't heard much about it, as most people don't hear much beyond their club level. But I agreed to meet with Will and get some information on the role. Here was one of my first lessons in leadership. Through the conversation, I don't really know if Will told me exactly what the area director role was, or if he told me just what I needed to hear to take on that. And I learned more about the role as I went. But the key item that came out of that was, as a leader, as an individual, we need to ask questions. We need to know what we're stepping into. We need to know what our expectations are, so that when we agree to step into these leadership roles, we have an idea of what we need to do to be successful and what we need to do to help others become successful. So my first term as a area director, my first 6 months was absolutely horrible because I didn't know to ask the questions. I was unsuccessful at it. I didn't think beyond the club level as an area director. So I took on the role again, and I learned now the importance of the role and helping others. See, as leaders, one of the key things is to help others get to their destination, to get to their goal. It's not to get them to your goal, it's to get them to their goal. And if we don't speak to individuals, if we don't offer guidance, if we don't offer the support, they're not going to get to where they need to be. And to be honest, sometimes they don't know where they need to be. It's up to us to encourage. So when Kathy sent me an email and said, "Hey, would you come to this leadership summit? I think we've got some dynamic leaders in our founders district that we want to try to help move along." Man, I was so thrilled because we don't often hear that. So Kathy, thank you for that. But after my second term as area director, I was a little bit more successful, wasn't as successful as I would like to have been, but I learned the valuable lessons about helping others. I learned the valuable lessons about asking questions. It wasn't until later on that I learned the valuable lesson of it wasn't where I wanted to go that was important to others. It was where they wanted to go. They were where they needed to go. That was important. So I served in my area director role, and then I went on to become division director and served in the trio. And in the trio, it becomes very dynamic because you have individual, and I see the laughs. I know that you're going through. It becomes different personalities, different, seeing different things, possibly all going in different directions. And as leaders, we need to find ways to bring that together. And if you remember correctly, at the beginning, I said I could speak to other engineers. I couldn't communicate with people. And this is where communication becomes so important, to be able to speak with one another, communicate with one another, have an open mind, understand a bigger perspective. And when I was district director, we had challenges like many district leaders do. And I am ashamed to say this, having actually gone on to serve as international president, but my district ended up last in the world the year I was district director. And that's a painful thing to say. But it caused growth in understanding how better to work with individuals, how better to support individuals, how to ask the questions, how to ask for help. Leaders, how often do you ask for help? There's this phobia that as a leader, if I ask for help, I'm showing a weakness. Hey, I was elected into this leadership role. I know everything. If I ask for help, I'm weak. And to me, it's a wise leader that asks for help. It's a wise leader who can see inside themselves where they need to be supported. I then went on to serve on the board of directors and as international president during the heart of the pandemic in 2020. But I want us to take a step back just for a minute, because I talked just a few minutes ago about the realization that it's not where you want to take people, it's where people need to go. For any of you that were in Washington, D.C. in 2015 or 2016 for the International Convention and went to the business meeting, you would have experienced one of the longest business meetings in the history of Toastmasters International. There were 7 candidates running for first vice president, or second vice president, excuse me. Me and Deepak Menon, Kathy, or Karen Blake, and several others. We didn't have the rule back then that if you had less than 10%, you fell off the ballot. It was each person, lowest vote, fell off the ballot, fell off the ballot, fell off the ballot. And after a number of ballots, I ended up falling off at 3rd place. And I was upset. I was terribly, terribly upset. And I couldn't understand why this happened until I met with other leaders, other mentors that said, you weren't being you. You were being the role as you perceived it. And as leaders, if we start changing to meet the role and make it all about the title, we miss the humanity of being a leader. And that as we step into leadership, as you step into leadership, remember the role is not the importance. What you do with the role is important. Because at the end of the day, our titles fall off. It's the individual that stays behind. And if they don't recognize you as an individual, then that's wrong. That means that you have changed from who you are to who you think they want you to be, or who you think the role wants you to be. And I have gone on to serve as past international director, or past international president, and you heard about the acting president's role. So I have seen a lot over the years. But what have I learned from it? And what is it that you can learn from your leadership roles? I think. And one, it's how do you lead people? What does a leader really look like? And as I developed my leadership philosophy and my practices, I think these are things that you as leaders need to be aware of, as future leaders need to be aware of, when you think about how am I going to lead people? So I like to look at positional leadership. And the first position that I look at is, as a leader, we need to stand before our people. Right? We need to be the individual who's there providing the vision, providing the guidance at all levels, club to district and beyond. We need to be the ones standing in front of our team, being willing to take the slings and arrows and all that come with it, because we know that there are going to be times when we're not agreed with. Right? You've all been agreed with 100% of the time, right? No, no. So we need to be the ones that are standing in front of our team and preventing them from taking all that backlash. So you stand before them, you give that guidance, and you blaze the path for them, not for you, for them. Then the second place you want to stand is you want to stand beside your team. Hey, you want to show them that you are willing to do the same things you're asking them to do, that you're willing to walk in their shoes, that you're willing to stand shoulder to shoulder, united towards the common goal. District Trio, if you're not standing together, shoulder to shoulder, working towards the district mission, it's going to be very difficult to get there, and someone is going to get left behind. And then the third place is you need to stand behind your teams. You need to have their back. You need to be the one that encourages them with the gentle push. There's the risk, though, at standing behind people. And that's when you say, I've got your back. And someone comes looking for you. And you're not there. They'll let it happen once. When it becomes a habit, they're going to stop trusting you as a leader. And then the team is going to fail. Think about it this way. Has anyone ever played a trust exercise? You know, the one where someone stands behind you and says, fall back, I'll catch you. Yeah. And then you fall back and there's no one there. Well, a team feels the same way when you say, I've got your back, and you don't. So remember, as a leader, those are the positional places that you need to be, the way you need to lead and guide your team. But there's several types of leaders that I've seen out there that tend to miss the mark on leadership. There's the lemming leaders. Everyone knows what a lemming is, right? They run right to the edge of the cliff and fall off, and the other ones behind them follow them and fall off. Well, the lemming leaders are the ones that say, just follow me. I know where I'm going, and everyone follows, and then they all fall off the cliff because there's been no defined vision. They're just trying to accomplish something. I'm a leader. The others are the, what I call Nike leaders, the just do it. I'm a leader, just do it. Those aren't ways to succeed at being a leader. Succeed at being a leader by helping others be successful at what they want to be, at what they need to be. And that's the key to identifying future leaders and future speakers, is seeing what's in them, seeing the potential in them, because we often don't see it in ourselves. We often think success is as far as we can reach. Yet if we lean in just a little bit, we can reach a little farther, be more successful. So the ability to identify future leaders is key. When we look at leaders in our organization, we look at leaders outside our organization, we need to be willing to ask them to step into roles. We need to be willing to say, hey, and I don't like always quoting Dan and Jaya, but I see something in you. You can do this. But individuals will tend to step back if they're not asked. And we've seen that a lot, where we've got really great leaders out there, but we don't ask them to step forward. We don't ask them to join. And we should. Now, some of you on this call are going to go, I don't have the skills necessary to do this job. I don't have the skills necessary to be an area director, division director. I don't have the skills necessary to be a club officer. You might be right. I'm not worried about that. The question is, do you have the passion for it? Because we can train skills, can't train passion. So if it's something that you're passionate about, if it's something that you'd really like to try it. What's the worst that could happen? You end up last in the world? That's not going to happen. The district is not going to stop going forward. People aren't going to stop speaking. The world's not going to stop spinning. Just try it. You might actually find that you like it. And then you're going to see what doors open up for you beyond that. And this is one of the key items that we don't often think about. What happens once I develop leadership skills? What can I do with them outside? So for me, I've gone on to be the international president. Now that's behind me. But I've been asked to sit in on government committees now, to help chair those committees and guide them to where they need to be, to help mentor political leaders in how to speak better, how to communicate with their audience better. I've been asked in my place of employment to be the lead for team development and communication. I've been asked to help mentor future leaders to allow them to gain skills to be leaders. That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't stepped outside my club. That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't tried to take on bigger roles, gain more skills, and move along. One of the key items about leadership that I find is important to me is our ability to help others, to help them to reach someplace that they didn't think they could reach, to realize their self-potential. And that's what we do as leaders every day. As leaders, we're not here to do the job. We're here to help you do the job. We're here to help you achieve your success. And that's why my mantra is being a leader is not about being the center of attention. I don't like being the center of attention. I don't want the limelight shining on me. I want to make a difference. And that's why it's about being the epicenter of action. As area directors, you're going to meet with clubs that are struggling, that are challenged, that don't see a path forward. You're going to show them that path forward. You're going to shine the light for them. And you're going to stand behind them and you're going to nudge them when they think it's getting difficult, when they don't think they can move forward. And when they're asking for how do we do PR, how can we market ourselves, you're going to sit at the computer with them and you're going to show them how to market, how they can grow, how they can attract members. You're going to work with them side by side because you said you would. And then when you become a division director, you're going to go, oh, I miss my area director role, but now I get to help out more people on a bigger scale. I get to help develop my area directors into the leaders they can be, while they develop the leaders at the club level that they can be. You see, it's not about us as leaders. It's about everyone that we're helping to come forward. As leaders, I would also encourage you to get evaluations from other leaders so that you know where your growth needs. Again, can't be afraid to ask for help. I think with all those items in your toolbox, and number one being passion, you can step into any leadership role you want. Don't hold yourself back. Don't let the title scare you. The title goes away. I do these roles even if I didn't have a title at the end of my name. And by the way, the title is always at the end of your name. You lead your title. Your title doesn't lead you. I wish you all the best. I know that Founders District is in good hands right now, and I know they're going to be in great hands in the future. Kathy, thank you for the invite. I wish your team all the best on this leadership summit. As I agreed earlier, we can have some Q&A now for individuals who'd like to talk about leadership.
Thank you, Richard. And that's such an inspiring story and keynote. I wrote down so many helpful phrases that I think spoke to me a lot, especially the story of the district director year for you. I don't think I had a stellar district director year, but I have come to appreciate everything good that did come out of it and look forward to learning as we go forward.
Yeah, and you look back and say, okay, what did I learn from this?
Mhm.
What has it done to make me better as an individual, as a leader? And I think, we all face challenges, but it's what we gain from those challenges that are important. And, I tell leaders all the time, there's two sides to a coin. One side's challenge and one side's opportunity. Which side do you want to focus on? Because if you're focusing on one side, especially the challenge side, you're never going to see the opportunity side.
I'm going to write down that one too. One side challenge, one side opportunity. And don't be shy, people. This is your opportunity to get some words of wisdom from a great leader.
I would like, Mr. President, to ask on the topic of encouraging people to step into leadership roles. Are there, how should I formulate my question so that it addresses specifically my intention for or search for an answer? In your experience, how did you find it to be the most successful when presenting opportunities to people? Because I believe that all my colleagues are on a constant basis presenting opportunities to other people in the district, yet with not a very big success rate.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And please, anyone who wants to ask a question, the name's Richard. You don't have to call me Mr. President or anything along those lines. I don't stand on that title or that formality. Encouraging people is definitely one thing and one aspect of it. But in order to get people to really buy into the encouragement is explaining to them what it is that they're going to gain out of it. What skills they can develop. Sharing a story of success from somebody who stepped into that role, who either didn't think they could do it or had their doubts, and then gained the skills necessary. I spoke at a district one time and asked everybody, aren't we all family here at Toastmasters? We're all family, right? And I said, if I'm your family member, would you let me fail? Well, no one wants to let a family member fail. So, as a district, we're all family. And our leaders help others to be successful, not fail. And you're encouraging someone, you're not going to encourage them and put them in a leadership role and then walk away from them. You're going to be the same positional leader for them that you want them to be a positional leader for others. And I think oftentimes, from my experience, maybe not in your district, we try to encourage people into roles, but we don't give them the why we think they would be good in that role. They're more concerned on the how. right? How am I going to do this? As opposed to the why should I do this and what can I get out of it? And I think if you can look at that approach, it could change up some of that buy-in into leadership. And I don't like using the term buy-in. It seems to be the word we use for it, you know. But that's how I would try it. I would address what the benefit for that individual is, you know, and not. Uh, I think one of the other things is that when we encourage people into roles, they don't necessarily know that they can build a team to support them. Right? They think they have to do everything on their own. So making sure that they understand that they're not in it alone, that they have individuals to support them. Your area directors have area councils and have area director teams, assistant area directors in some areas. But, you know, so there's individuals out there to help them. They're not doing it on their own.
Thank you.
I know I had a turn, but I'm just so intrigued by this title of your book that's out there, Richard, Poking the Cadaver, a forensic approach to public speaking. Can you tell me a little about that?
So this is another thing that came out of my leadership in the district, and it was an individual who I met through one of my district leadership roles, who is actually a forensic scientist. Her name is Liz Trendowski. She's co-author of the book, and she is an expert in alcohol forensics. So when there's alcohol-related deaths, cases and stuff like that, she's brought in to provide her expertise. There was a case down south not too long ago, the boat case, Murdoch, the son, who was involved in the boat accident there. She was supposed to sit in on that trial. I don't know if she ever did or not. But we decided that if you wanted to look at a speech and determine whether it fell apart, whether it was dead, that's the part of the cadaver, right? It's dead on the platform. You know? And oftentimes we get off the stage and we went, we killed it. Well, we didn't really kill it. It was dead. But in order to evaluate that speech and determine what may or may not have gone wrong is to apply forensic techniques to it and take it down one step at a time to see where it broke down. And she was instrumental in this, in putting it together, bringing her forensic expertise in there. And I added my aspects from communication and leadership to it. And you know, I think we've sold 10 copies maybe, but we're doing okay.
All right. Well, how can those of us that are listening to you speak today get a hold of this book?
It's on Amazon Prime, on Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon. Yeah. We don't have an audio version yet. We're working on that. We just, things have gotten in the way for everybody, but we'll get one of those eventually.
Great. Any other questions out there for Richard? Okay.
I think I see, is that Jean?
Jean. Yes, yes. Not so much a question, Richard. I just want to thank you for being so open and honest and just telling it like it is, because I think that a lot of us have felt the pain that you were going through as you experienced this growth. It's supposed to be good for us, and I understand that, but it really helps me to focus on some of that and get some new perspectives as we're going through this particular journey. I feel like I have a fabulous team, and I just want to make sure that I am serving them the way we want them to then be able to serve our members. So I really thank you for your comments and for being here today. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. You know, that's what I said. I can't let the title change who I am. You know, and I think that for us as leaders, one of the key aspects is we need to be honest with people, because we can't let them go into it thinking it's one thing and it's not. because then it becomes a negative experience for them. And, we've heard it in the past, I've heard in my district, an area director who said that they've just not had a great experience. And if you're out there promoting that you're not having a great experience and then not saying why you didn't, why would anyone want to step into that? And that generally because the leader in front of them wasn't supporting them. So, we are there to support one another. And, as we know, the Toastmasters leadership pyramid is upside down, right? So I used to be 7'4" until I became president and supported everybody on my shoulders during the pandemic, and now I'm 4'3". But that is what we do as leaders. You are in your district director is at the bottom of the pyramid and supports everybody above it. And I think that is the proper way for a leader to look at their team as well, right? In the pyramid of their team, they are the lowest portion of the pyramid. They're there to support everybody above them. So they're there to support their team. And I think if we focus our view that way, it would help us see things a lot differently as leaders.
Again, thank you so much, Richard, for being our keynote speaker today and inspiring us beyond words. I just can't wait to share the recording of this and perpetuate it onto more and more aspiring leaders in our district. I'd like to move on to our next section, and please help me welcome your notes, Breb, Distinguished Toastmaster, Founders District Program Quality Director, to present on club officer roles. Your notes is immediate past Founders District President's Distinguished Area E2 Director, and the first to charter a club in the district last year. Welcome your notes.
Thank you very much, Madam Immediate Past District Director Kathy, and everybody in the audience. I would like to share in a few minutes about the club officer roles. Now, it is my perspective, and it might be subjective, that the most important element in the Toastmasters membership is the members' experience. I have seen that over the last 11 years. And it is my deep conviction that the club officers are the closest to making or breaking that membership experience. There are 7 officers in a club, and they all work together to accomplish the club mission. Starting with the Sergeant at Arms, have you thought about the fact that the work of the Sergeant at Arms is the first thing you get to appreciate when you walk into a meeting? I have seen, and as I'm talking about these roles, I have specific names of favorite people that held this role, and currently one of them is serving as Sergeant at Arms. But as Sergeant at Arms, in essence, you are the host of your Toastmasters meetings. You set up the venue, you put out the agendas when they're provided, all the other elements, the little trophies, the ribbons, and you prepare the room in a neat way, whether in person or virtual, so that everybody feels welcome, with the guest book, with a warm smile on your face at the entrance door, or in the Zoom, sending the first couple of messages to guests. There are all things that the Sergeant at Arms can do. And of course, many other items in the description. The secretary, on the other hand, or I should say the treasurer, is the person that keeps track of the club's finances. Nowadays, with the members having the options to self-pay, it's so much easier because they don't necessarily need to collect the money. They have the option to collect the money and then process payments on behalf of the members. But in part, just taking care of the club finances. A strong club, I believe, it's a club that has some money in the bank account. And obviously, the treasurer is the person responsible for managing that financial aspect. And then towards the end of the year, with the guidance of the president, do an audit on the club finances and lead with transparency in this area. The secretary is a very beautiful role because it keeps everybody organized with the meeting minutes, with what happened, the celebrations, the achievements. And it's just a beautiful way to keep chronicles of your club. And then in a year from now, go back to that specific meeting agenda or those minutes and see what happened, and relive those celebratory moments. Or probably there will be lower moments as well. The vice president PR, as vice president PR, you get to tell the world about the environment you are creating and you are living in as a club member. And this is an area where I feel like many clubs have a feeling of, oh, we're kind of inferior, we're not doing really much. No, that's not true. What we are doing in Toastmasters, it's worth sharing with every person that is alive. I tend to do that in the first 5 minutes I meet a new person, tell them about the Toastmasters Club. And the vice president PR gets to direct all those PR activities towards the outside community. And the vice president membership, I think they are the heart of a Toastmasters Club, because they get to listen to the members, intake the new members, process their applications, and just care about them. And I just experienced the other day the care of our vice president membership, where she took everybody name by name, and we are close to 40 members in our club, and she went and she had a special touch for each and every one of them. And as the vice president education, you get to champion and promote education. The reason most people join a Toastmasters Club because they want something, they have some goals they want to achieve, they want to better themselves. And as vice president education, you are the dean of the club. You get to measure the progress, encourage people to stay on the track, take pathways, take certain projects, etc. And I believe it's a very beautiful and rewarding role, from what I know as I've done it, and from what I am told from the other vice president education. Some people say it's a hard role. No, it's just a lot of fun, because truly you get to celebrate when people reach a milestone. And I have seen so many stories and examples of people that have been frightful whenever they would only introduce themselves. And then with the help of vice president education, they were able to, and a mentor, to ascend on the level of confidence and have their first achievements. And it means the world for the member. So a caring, strong vice president education is definitely so much needed in a club. And last but not least, the club president. As club president, the most beautiful responsibility that one has is to cast a vision of the club in the future, to paint a picture so beautiful that everybody wants to work together to get to that destination. And I'll close with the example of my club. When I started the club, where we were somehow close to starting it, chartering it, I said, I know that in this room, there will be 40 people learning about public speaking, leadership, encouraging one another. And the other 6 people in the room looked at me and said, hey, yeah, I wonder how that's going to happen. Now the club has surpassed the number 40, and the current club president said, I think we can do 60. And the incoming club president, the one that we want to nominate and vote for, proposed to the club members, she said, hey, if we could get to 60, then we can go above that and have like a conference every single week, because we see the need that that's present in our community, and people long to be part of a Toastmasters Club. So as club president, encouraging everybody, working with all the club officers, and obviously presiding over the meetings, so many other beautiful things. But to get to my opening statement, I believe that the club officers are the closest to influence the members' experience. And from all the leadership roles I had in the past, most likely the most impactful were the club leadership ones. I hope that many people in Founders District will see this as a big opportunity for them to develop skills, to challenge themselves, and to get to enjoy the rewards of serving your club members. Thank you very much, and back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, your notes. That was wonderful. The club officer role is where the leadership journey begins, and you can move on from there. And as Richard reminded us in his keynote, don't be worried if you don't feel you have the skills to move on to area director or division director, because we can train the skills. We can't train the passion that you have. So I would like to introduce our next section and welcome, please help me welcome April Braswell, Distinguished Toastmaster, Founders District's Club Growth Director, to present on area and division director roles. April is the immediate past Founders District President's Distinguished North Division Director. Welcome, April.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Morgan Freeman tells us, challenge yourself. It's the only path that leads to growth. I'm assuming if you're here today, you're interested in growth. Who here in Toastmasters isn't interested in growth on some level? And if you want to challenge yourself, this is the most supportive environment. Our whole culture in Toastmasters, and I will say particularly in Founders District, we have that legacy. And is an area director or division director, is that the right place for you? I invite you to consider that today as I'm presenting. It is an opportunity to step forward and level up. Now, to introduce the idea of this is imagine yourself, just picture it in your mind. You're a guide and you're helping not just one club your own, but you're potentially helping 4, 5, maybe even 6 clubs in an area, and 20 or maybe 22 if you're a division director. Now, if you're doing this role, of course, it's a wonderful opportunity to get your DTM, and a number of people do originally look at it for that. And then when you're doing the role, you're taking the actions each month, and over the course of the year, you will find you grow your leadership. It just happens as a result of doing these things. And so I want to explore just a few of the benefits in particular for what those might be for you and what the roles, each of these roles can offer for you. Of course, these roles matter, which is really a wonderful thing. Maybe we're not getting that at our job. Maybe we're not getting a lot of recognition in that same way that we experience here in Toastmasters. And so you'll have that opportunity to know absolutely what you are doing matters and contributes. This also can be stepping into those positions that elevate your Toastmasters journey. Wherever you are in your Toastmasters journey, maybe you're relatively new, maybe you're just looking at this for that's something I want to consider doing not next year, but even in the future. Please start considering that for the future. Now, the big picture, why does this role matter? And Richard did reference it in terms of clubs who might be struggling, where we do have that, but I like to focus first that as club officers, you're empowering them, especially if you're serving as an officer now and you have the people you're working with. Imagine those tools and inspiring them, sharing some of those tools that maybe that club hasn't heard of that your club uses, or another club that you're hearing about from the other people in district. You are bringing that to each of the clubs and making their roles more effective and really more enjoyable. You're increasing engagement potentially. You're promoting things over the area, the division, and the district speech contests, and you're connecting them with the other clubs and other members. Be a connector. And then, yes, of course, the clubs who are struggling in some manner, your leadership just might make that difference between a club, I don't like to say closing its doors, that was suggested, but really it's about their improving and bouncing back. Knowing, and Richard said, it is one of the phrases I like to use a lot as well too, was that core value of we have your back, was that in the area and the division director visits, the club and the members experience that. That is how they experience it, is through us. And I actually did serve as division director twice. That was something each of us, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it as a club officer. I didn't know what I was doing the first time I did this. And after you served in it for 6 months or so, you're thinking, well, now I know what to do. That is often the case. So sometimes we will repeat some of these roles. Your scope as a division director expands even further, and you're overseeing 4 to 5 areas, fostering that collaboration that Richard was talking about, creating events that energize members and can help to shape the success for your entire vision. One of the things that Richard commented on was that experience of we have a vision and we're carrying it as the leader. It is always about the other person's goals, their growth. As a division director, I probably experienced that more there. It was always about growing and offering opportunities for those area directors that I had that year, those particular people to grow them and their uniqueness, what they were interested in. And it's a very different experience than being an area director, and I really did love it. You get to visit your clubs and make all those connections. The second benefit, of course, is personal growth and the benefit of serving. And yes, we do like to know what's in it for me, April. The number one thing really is your enhanced leadership skills. You're learning to lead diverse teams. You're managing conflicts. And when I say conflicts, it's not like really hard conflicts, but there are going to be differences, and there might be difference of opinion on how we're going to accomplish that. And as an area director or division director, you can be supporting that, offering some guidance, some ideas, so that I like to think of it more as a flowing river or a flowing creek. You're helping to move the obstacle, the impediment to the flow. And that's what I mean about in terms of managing conflicts, that you're helping to make the conflict more a communication that can then continue back to being in a flow state versus stopping from at a conflict. And you're helping to motivate, and I really like to say more, you're inspiring people to achieve their goals and then helping them to see how their goals are connected to those goals in Toastmasters, how Toastmasters can be a place for them to achieve that. And then two-time area director Cynthia Zhang said, I had 2 really main benefits I reaped after serving as an area director. It helped me improve my overall communication skills as I had to learn how to communicate and follow up with people who had different communication styles than me. And second, it made me less afraid to be a leader in real life work situations when the time came. And now she's entered 2-year grad school. That is part of the outgrowth of having served as an area director. The second, of course, is we're improving our communication. And I loved how Richard said, I know how to talk. And yet communicating is another thing, not just talking. You'll become more adept at presenting to different audiences. That can help in our professional settings as well as in our personal relationships, other volunteer organizations, our faith communities that we might be working with. And it sharpens your ability to influence, encourage, and most of all, to inspire others. In serving as an area director, President's Distinguished Area Director Tim Suhu said, as a club officer, one of my fellow club officers suggested I apply and serve as an area director, which is not only an opportunity to increase my leadership training in Toastmasters, but was also an opportunity to meet a requirement towards, of course, the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. And in serving as an area director, it also gave me visibility to charter a club, which helped me to complete 2 more DTM criteria as I served as a club sponsor and mentor. In my time as an area director, I oversaw 5 clubs and helped provide as much support as possible to help mentor their officers to guide their club to success. The ultimate goal I received was being awarded that President's Distinguished Area Director Award at the end of my term, as a majority of my clubs achieved the Distinguished Club Award or higher, and I chartered a new club during my tenure as area director. I highly recommend anyone seeking a DTM or more leadership training to seriously consider serving as an area director for a year. Picture it. What will your story of leadership and growth be? What could that be? And third, of course, is building those relationships. Toastmasters is a global organization. And even here in Orange County, as many of us here are based here, is that it might not be apparent on the surface. We're absolutely a global community, even here in Orange County. There's so much diversity and so many people who are also coming in from other countries that we have that right here. These roles connect you with members from different clubs and backgrounds. You'll expand your professional as well as your personal network and form those friendships working together, forming those professional connections that can last a lifetime. And lastly, and we do love this, is recognition and achievement. Your work will be celebrated through awards, acknowledgments, and that satisfaction of seeing your clubs achieving. And it's not just our clubs, it's seeing those members, the look on their faces, the words that they use to articulate the joy that they're having, that they're experiencing from finding that achievement from within themselves, and you help to be part of it. Two-time division director Tim Suhu tells us, after my year as area director, a district leader suggested I serve as a division director, as I would be a great fit with 4 area directors reporting to me and helping them to support 20 clubs in my division. I hosted division council calls, and I recommend that as a division director, it's a great stepping stone for those who are interested in serving in other leadership positions. I invite you to consider it's your turn to lead. Hearing all this, I invite you to consider raising your hand to serve as an area director or division director and take that next step in your leadership journey. Now, what are those next steps, April? They're simple. Talk to your division director or talk to me to learn more. Nominate yourself or encourage someone you know who has the potential to be an area or division director, and then take that first step by raising your hand and saying, yes, I'm ready to lead and grow. Challenge yourself. It's the only path which leads to growth. Will you join me? Madam Internet. Kathy, back to you.
Thank you, April. Now
I
that
can't
is
get the title out of my mouth.
passion.
It's like, can't say it.
Well done. Very inspiring. Please help me welcome for our next session, Jean Cassidy, Distinguished Toastmaster, Founders District Director, to present on appointed district roles. Jean was the proud recipient of the Excellence in Program Quality Award for her service last year as Founders District Program Quality Director in 2023-2024. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you, Kathy. It's great to be here today. And I just want to say very briefly that that award was accepted by me, but it sure wasn't because of all my effort. It was because everyone stepped up to work together as a team so that we made sure that we all succeeded. So I just thought I would share that with you and recognize also what Richard had said earlier, and that is that we're not doing this alone and we're not going to let each other fail. So with that, I'm going to ask you what you think is in it for you to be part of a district leadership team. Earlier, when Richard spoke about this, he said it's not really about how to do the role, but what you can get out of it. So serving as a district leader is both a great responsibility, but it's an exciting opportunity to build confidence, build your community, and make connections. And you heard the others talk about that earlier as well. So at the district level, we create and maintain this atmosphere of enjoyment, of teamwork, and dedication. Trio members, and those are the top 3, or actually the bottom 3, right? The district director, PQD, and the club growth director. We rely on each other. We work really well together, and it requires a lot of constant communication and discussion on a lot of different things. But we also need our team beyond the trio. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about. So in Founders District, there are appointed positions for these leaders, and I get to make those appointments. But they are subject to the approval of the district executive committee and then confirmation by the district council, which includes our club presidents and vice presidents of education. So let's just take a look at these critical roles that support the trio and the district, and then consider how you can grow your teamwork, your leadership and communication skills, and progress on your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. So the first one is the public relations manager. You have probably heard of the PRM, or the public relations manager, and that is the person that is responsible for coordinating publicly identified efforts in the district and publishing these different events. You're responsible for establishing and maintaining these lines of communication between the district and the members. You are also going to be going between the district and the public. So not only are you talking to members within the district and the fellow Toastmasters, you're also reaching out to the community. And it's your work that increases awareness of Toastmasters through all available media. I see this PRM position in greater clarity because we had a fabulous PRM last year who showed me the way it's supposed to be done. And that has given me a new insight into what that role is, and that there's a lot of creativity that goes into it. It has skills that you will learn or you may develop further, writing and editing, so you can convey your intended meaning to members and the public in publications about Toastmasters and other Toastmasters events. You're going to be collaborating, lots of collaboration. As you work closely with, they call them stakeholders within and outside Toastmasters, with your fellow members, people within the clubs, all the VPPRs, as well as the clubs, and trying to get their events out there and support pretty much the entire district, getting district events out there. And a big part of it, which I found that we did exceptionally well, was recognition. And that is where we had the opportunity to praise member achievements, to recognize our members, and to publicize Toastmasters. What is it that you need to know? There is a thing called branding, and that's something that if you don't know about it, definitely a skill that can be learned. And you're responsible for ensuring that we are being responsible to brand things properly in the Toastmaster way so that it's identified rapidly as a Toastmaster event. The next, excuse me, the next position is the administration manager, or the AM, as we shorten that up because we always have acronyms. And as the admin manager, you're responsible to maintain the historical records of the district, to record and distribute minute meetings, and otherwise maintain accurate, timely records of district business. For the AM, you can serve a one-year term, and then you are eligible to be reappointed for one succeeding term, similar to the PRM. For the admin manager, finance manager, apparently they can be combined. I would not suggest it because I think that there are a lot of skills that need to be really honed in, and giving it to two different people is, I feel, the best of both worlds. So our finance manager is tasked with the financial oversight and management of the district. And that finance manager works very closely with the trio, as well as other and districts with TI, to ensure that we're making cost-effective decisions that are within policy, and they will result in an effective financial management of the district. There are certain things that the finance manager should probably know before they take that position, and that would be having a knowledge of accounting, and they would be acquainted with handling financial matters. For instance, a debit and a credit, and knowing where things would go in certain charts of accounts. Some of these things can still be learned, but certain basics would be a benefit to the finance manager to have before they take office there. Again, the finance manager is appointed by the district director, and you're eligible for reappointment for one succeeding term also. Lots of skills that are included for a financial manager to be successful, including strategic thinking and planning, where you help to develop and plan and deliver a fiscally responsible financial plan for the district, and you enable district funds to be used in the most beneficial manner. Collaboration, working closely with the district director to ensure that the district is financially healthy. There is knowledge that you can also get beyond what you know as you come in, and that is understanding Toastmasters and the Toastmasters financial system. And of course, accounting knowledge. It's understanding general accepted accounting principles. So it's a big position, but it's definitely worth talking about. So if you have any interest in any of them, let me know. Finally, the logistics manager is that person, if you think of it as the district sergeant at arms, selecting meeting locations and organizing the room, setting up equipment, and helping to make sure that we have a smooth meeting or a conference or contest, whatever. I hope that this brief overview has given you some ideas of how you can participate as part of the district leadership team. By serving, you can build your confidence, your community, and your connection on your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Jean. Excellent and inspiring words of wisdom on those appointed roles, which all of those roles that you mentioned, except for logistics manager, also get that district leader credit. I'd like at this point to please enjoy a 5-minute break. I think we need a break in between this and the next presentation. You can grab a snack or coffee, whatever you'd like to do, or you can hang out and chat for a few minutes here on Zoom, but we will get started at 10:42. So please be back, ready to go right into our next session at 10:42. Welcome back from the break, everyone, and let's introduce, without further ado, our next speaker on the trio roles, the very important district trio. Please help me welcome Simone Nash, Distinguished Toastmaster and District 67 District Director, past and immediate past Founders District Public Relations Manager, to present on the trio roles. Simone was the proud recipient this past year of the Helen Homer Blatchard Award for her service as Founders District Public Relations Manager. Welcome, Simone.
Thank you very much, Kathy. All right, well, the district trio roles. Serving in the district trio roles was actually the favorite part of my Toastmasters leadership journey. So I'm very happy to share about these roles with you today. And before I share some of my personal experiences and explore the different roles, I'd like to remind us of the requirements first to qualify for running for the district trio roles. So the district trio roles are the Club Growth Director, Program Quality Director, and the District Director. These are the top leadership roles in any district, and they're responsible for achieving the district mission of building new clubs and supporting all clubs in achieving excellence. For the Club Growth Director and Program Quality Director, we need to have been a member in Founders District, if you're applying in Founders District, for 12 consecutive months within the past 3 years. We need to have served for 6 consecutive months as club president and 12 consecutive months in the role of area director or division director. For district director, we need to have served for 12 consecutive months in the role of division director, club growth director, or program quality director. So these requirements are a little bit different to when I applied. So that's why I want to just make that very clear. The district trio are responsible for achieving the district mission, as I mentioned, which is building new clubs and supporting all clubs in achieving excellence. So what does this mean for those three roles? Well, as club growth director, the focus is really all about new clubs, building new clubs, chartering new clubs, and rescuing and rebuilding the weaker clubs. So clubs with less than 8 members or even under charter strength of 20 members. So the club growth director really focuses on strengthening our clubs and our district. Something I really enjoyed and learned so much as the club growth director was doing a market analysis in our district. When I was club growth director in my local district, we looked at where were the areas, geographical locations where perhaps the Toastmasters presence was not as dense. We also looked at opportunities for chartering corporate clubs. So we looked at, we did a reach out to members to see what companies our members were working for, and looked at who we could partner with to charter new clubs, in chartering a new club in the workplace of our existing members. We also, through our market analysis, looked at large companies that already had Toastmasters clubs in their organization elsewhere. And so we try to use that as a way to get the foot in the door. So, you know, there's so many different creative ways to approach this role of building new clubs. And guess what? You're not doing this on your own. You build a team to help you to identify those opportunities and to work on getting the foot in the door and chartering those clubs. So it's really a very exciting way to develop yourself in the role as club growth director. So there's not only the technical aspects of how to do a market analysis, how to charter new clubs, you know, and you've got to use all of your communication and leadership skills to do that, but also you get to work with a team. That's probably the most fun part of these district trio roles. And you get to help clubs that maybe not as strong as they used to be. So it's just such a fulfilling and exciting role. And it is a very substantial role in terms of the impact as club growth director that you can have on your district, on your clubs and its members. I learned in my role as club growth director how important it was to track the progress, track everything that we were doing. So that's something that really helped me to strengthen my own project management skills. So a lot of people working in different companies, and I know that a lot of people who have served in these district trio roles, it has helped them to move up the ladder in their own careers, simply because you just learn how to work with teams, you learn a lot about project management skills, and you really ramp up your communication and leadership skills. Now, onto the program quality director. For me, this was like being the vice president of education, but on a much larger scale. And being vice president of education is still one of my favorite club officer roles. So as program quality director, I had so much fun. And I believe that Your Notes is having a lot of fun too. I see this from the sidelines. And as program quality director, it's all about the training and development. So you're responsible for putting on a very exciting and meaningful club officer training program, district officer training. You're in charge of making sure all of the speech contests run smoothly, and also you are managing the district conference. So in addition, in Founders District, the program quality director also puts on a lot of club quality learning labs. So there's so much opportunity for training for our members, our leaders and our members. And that's the focus of the program quality director, putting all that training in place to help our clubs achieve excellence. So especially if you liked doing the Vice President of Education role, I'm sure you will love the Program Quality Director role. You also get to work with a team. Nothing happens on your own. We all need to put a team together, and it's a great challenge and a great pleasure to work with a great group of people to achieve great things for your district. So it's, and nowadays with the new Basecamp, there's a lot of exciting challenges in how we can support our members so that they can make progress with the Toastmasters educational program. Now onto the district director role. Well, the buck stops with you as district director. So it's like you are the club president, but you are the club president, you are the president for the whole district. It's a truly exciting opportunity because you get to lead and engage your district, its leaders, clubs, and members in reaching their potential. In my year as district director, it was all about teamwork. And my role was to support our club growth director, our program quality director, and our division and area directors. And by supporting and leading them to success, I knew it would result in overall district success. So it was a very fulfilling year in my own growth as a leader, as district director, because it really tested and accelerated my leadership skills in mentoring, coaching, and training my fellow leaders. I found that the more I did to support and recognize them, the more that everybody achieved. So in all of these trio roles, please remember that you're not alone. You're not out there trying to survive on your own, because Toastmasters International provides training and guidance to help us succeed. So part of that includes the support from our region advisor, who is always available for guidance and sharing of best practices. They help with problem solving and conflict if there is any. And I also personally made sure that in every leadership role that I took on, that I had my own team of mentors and coaches to help me. That's so important because you don't want to just be busy doing the work. You want to also have the opportunity to reflect on what's happening during your leadership journey as a trio member. So I had a number of different past district leaders from different years, and they just really helped me so much because as much as, as enthusiastic and willing as I was as a leader, I found it so rewarding for my own leadership journey to have those mentors and coaches. So I'd have mentors to guide me throughout the term. And I would have coaches who had specific subject matter expertise. For example, when I was program quality director, I asked somebody who was well known as a very successful district conference manager, and that person really, really opened my eyes up to a lot of best practices that I was not aware of. And so that, for example, helped me greatly in my program quality year to put on the best district conference that the district had ever seen. So mentors and coaches are so important. They help us greatly. And just remember, we're not alone. So I really encourage you, if you meet the role requirements, please go ahead and raise your hand or submit your application to our District Leadership Committee Chair, Kathy Hughes. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Excellent motivation and encouragement for our aspiring TRIO members. If you haven't heard the role that sounds right for you in 2025 and 26, I have good news, because there are plenty of other ways to volunteer and give back with your time, talent, and treasure to Founders District and beyond. Each of the TRIO positions, as Simone alluded to, has a supporting team. They have committee and chair positions available in each TRIO role: club growth, program quality, and district director. So I'm going to describe them very, very briefly to you, but please know that you can get more information at a later date on this if you're interested. First of all, let's start with the club growth team and their committee roles. The club extension chair is a very critical new club involvement, and they have underneath their purview the club sponsor committees. So this is a way to get involved in those new clubs. Quality chair, club quality chair, has underneath their purview the club mentor committee for those new clubs, keeping them tutored and educated on how to be a strong, healthy club. The club retention chair, that chair heads the club coach committee. And lastly, the club new source research chair works with the club growth director and helps on that marketing plan to help grow those clubs, those new healthy clubs. In the program quality team, there's another group of committee chair roles that I'd like to highlight. One of them is the district chief judge. They get to get involved in the contest season, advising and mentoring the chief judges at the area and division contests, and serving as the district chief judge in the district conference and contest. In the role of education, there is a LACE TLI chair, and they lead the club officer training, LACE in Founders District, TLI in other districts, and that training event's very critical. So if you're interested in that, please step up. A member retention chair falls under the PQD team as well, and they track those renewals as they're coming in April and October, which are so critical, and support the clubs that need help with ways on how they can retain their members. Lastly, and maybe the most exciting and fun activity, is the district conference chair. Now, it's a lot of work, but you'll have the opportunity to have a lot of people on those various committees that fall under that role. Winding up with the district director team, there's an important role called the audit committee chair. If you are interested in finance and you have some skill in that area, or if you just want to learn it, you would lead a committee to review the district expenses and ensure that they're in compliance with budget and policies. There's a credential committee chair. Now that is important when it comes down to the annual business meeting. That person assists the district in conducting a successful election meeting. And it should be, doesn't have to be, but it should be a past district director for this role. And then what about district leadership committee chair? That is my role this year. It's evaluating and nominating best candidates for the district elected positions. We talked about elected versus appointed. That committee underneath the DLC chair would represent each of the divisions. Now, there are a couple of roles outside of the district that are just good to keep on the radar, even if you're not there at that point yet. Why would you just not keep going once you've been a district director? There's so much more to learn. And after you've been past your full district director term, you can think about expanding your learning and the impact that you have by serving as a region advisor or an international director. Briefly, region advisor supports a district in achieving the district's mission. They probably have 10 or more districts underneath each region advisor. They serve a 15-month term and report to the international president. An international director role, that's another role that you can be thinking about post district director year, supporting Toastmasters as an organizational fiduciary and representative of the board of directors. It's a 2-year role, and it's very critical in developing organizational strategy and policies, ensuring the implementation of those policies for that 2 years that they're servicing that. That's the entire section on the roles in the district that are additional and the outside the district roles that I have to present today. So I'm going to go into my call for candidates. I ask you to volunteer your time, your talent, your treasure to one of these elected positions or one of the appointed positions. Now, elected positions, there's 5 division director positions, a club growth director position, program quality director, and district director position. So please submit your applications to be considered for these elected positions by, and write this date down, by January 15th. So you can go through the DLC interview process. The nominations themselves must be announced no later than April 2nd. So this is very important. Elected roles, that deadline is the soonest deadline. For appointed roles, we have a little bit longer. The ideal for any appointed role is to be before July 1, 2025, so that they get their full term starting on the first day of the Toastmaster year. But there's a grace period. Some people could start a little later, but absolutely no later than August 31st if you want to get credit for your role. That would be roles such as area director, is 20 of those. Administration manager, finance manager, public relations manager. That requires that if you're going to submit your intent and raise your hand that you want to be considered in any of these roles, the most important thing is for you to submit either the district leader nominating form, and that's for elected or appointed positions. Submit that for yourself or for someone else. If you are actually applying for the elected positions, you'll need to additionally submit the officer agreement and release form, the candidate application, and the district officer biographical info form. But you don't have to remember this. All you have to remember is foundersdistrict.org. If you scroll along those options at the top of the page, click on leadership, and then look down the bottom there, and you'll see the call for candidates. It's right up there with all the forms that you need to complete. If you know someone or you yourself would like to serve in any one of these positions, submit that form to the district director or to the DLC committee chair, me, Kathy Hughes. Copy both of us if you want to be on the safe side. I'll move to our closing, and we're a little bit over time, so my apologies. Thank you for attending this District Leadership Summit this morning. The session has been recorded. It will be made available to others that were not able to make it here today. Submit those nomination forms today. Nominate yourself or a fellow Toastmaster and make a positive impact for the district, for Toastmasters, and for yourself. I'm going to turn it over for a brief summary of some announcements that you'll be interested in. I welcome your notes, Breb. Back to the...
Thank you very much, Kathy. Really quick, I want to give a shout out to everybody in district leadership position because they are busy people supporting the clubs and the members. And there's so many things organized by the district. The easiest thing to do is go and visit foundersdistrict.org, the calendar, and you'll have a plethora of options. We have the winter LACE session, January 18 and February 8. That's very important for club officers to attend. Last season, we had 98% of the clubs over 4 officers trained. We need to repeat that. We need to definitely match that performance. Then we have the conference. We're going to have a Black Friday deal where you can get access to the district conference, which is going to take place May 17th in the beautiful city of Costa Mesa. The venue has been visited, has been reserved, has been approved by the district director, by everybody else involved. And we are looking to put up a very good conference for everybody. Now, although we will have an extra day of conference, the 16th, which is going to be completely online. However, there are many things, as some of the speakers previously said, educational sessions. Tomorrow, we have a topic on how to build membership in the club. The members are the breadth of a club, and we want more members. And you know what? Members, prospective members, are awaiting to be invited and to discover our clubs. And so many other educational events taking place. Take advantage of them all because they matter and they add some practical value to everybody involved. Thank you very much. Back to you, Kathy.
What I wanted to put in the chat is a link to the Founders District website call for nominations.
I put it in.
That is the quickest place for you to get that information. If someone would help me post that link into the chat for everyone, I would love to get your responses today while you're still inspired and thinking about it after this wonderful event. Thank you, everyone that participated. But if not today, by January 15th, so the District Leadership Committee can begin our jobs of vetting out all of the plethora of qualified candidates.
It is in the chat, Kathy. April threw it in there.
Thank you, April. Great. I appreciate everyone today. I call this meeting to adjournment.